everybody. Welcome, welcome to Hidden Horror. Thank you for spending this time with me. I appreciate that. Let's get started. Hey everybody. Good morning. Welcome to Hidden Horror. I am here. I'm not even sure how I got through the video about Brian Koberger and the fact that they're saying he has autism spectrum disorder because my mind was not there. My mind has been on the release of the 911 call. They also released some of the text exchange between Dylan and Bethany. You know, I implore you to please go back. I did a series of about 8 videos talking about the K-bar knife, did Kaylee have a stalker, how the killer was comfortable in the house, how the police lied to us, how they misled us. I mean, so many videos to go over and to bring together how I felt possibly and potentially law enforcement could have killed the Idaho Four. When the 911 call and the text messages were released, first off, it had already been said that the 2 allied roommates were texting one another during the alleged time of the murders. But when I tell you there is so much hidden information, there is so much that does not make sense in these crimes. Not just the lapse in time from calling 911, but what is really on the 911 call. Not just allegedly seeing someone in your house with a mask on, leaving out in the dark, and you don't call 911. That didn't make sense. Seeing someone walk past you, that just didn't make sense. Moreover, hearing and just feeling in disbelief that these 2 alive roommates, they were woke, they were up, they heard what was happening in the house. It just gets worse, you know. I'm going to read an article, and then I have the 911 call, and then I'm going to talk about it. And I'm going to try to spend most of this time talking about my thoughts, because the more that comes out, the more evidence that comes out, more and more tends to give credence to my idea that the killers, they were known to these victims. Kaylee, Maddie, Ethan, and Zaina, they knew them. The roommates, they knew them. They didn't do anything about it. They didn't call for ambulance. They didn't try to get help. They didn't try to get away. They didn't run. They didn't do anything. 4 hours. And I just have to call it how I see it. I'm not going to lie to you. This just seems like something else happened. Something else is going on. And all of this was staged. The roommates knew, the people they called over there knew. It appears that law enforcement knew from the beginning, and they've been covering it up. They've been hiding it. And again, in my mindset, it could have been a law enforcement officer, but also feel these kids, these 2 victims, I don't even want to call them victims, the 2 roommates, the 2 surviving roommates, they know as well. But let's get started. Let's get started. This article is from dbaltv.com. It's titled, Newly release text and 911 call transcript from surviving roommates of Idaho murders reveal panic and terror. I pulled up a picture of Kaylee, Maddie, Ethan, and Zane, and I'm going to share that as I read this article to you because I want to keep them at the forefront. I want to remember them. I want to remember, why are we doing this? Why are we talking? Why are we searching? Why are we investigating? Why are we scrutinizing everything? Because there's something called justice. There is the effort to identify the killer or killers in their murders. And that's what we're here to do. This article is dated March 7th, 2025. It's by, I'm seeing CNN. I don't see a writer's name. Go all the way down just to make sure I'm not missing anything. I don't see a writer's name. Okay, let's go for it. Panicked conversations between two surviving roommates in the off campus home where four University of Idaho students were murdered in 2022 were revealed in newly released text messages Thursday, shedding more light on the timeline that prosecutors aim to lean on in their case against the suspect. The brutal killings of the four University of Idaho students, Madison Mogan, Kaylee Goncalves, Xana Kernodle, and Ethan Chapin, took place in November of 2022 at an off campus residence in Moscow, a town of about 25,000 people. I'm freaking out, one roommate, Dylan Mortensen, wrote to the other, Bethany Funk. According to the newly unsealed court filings, Mortensen and Funk, identified by their initials in the court documents, were texting about a masked man dressed in black in their house around the time police believed the victims were being murdered. The exchange took place nearly 8 hours before the roommates called 911 to report Kernodle unconscious at the residence. The group of friends had gone out in the college town and returned to their shared home late. The next day, police found the four students slaughtered inside, and there was no signs of forced entry or damage. The slayings led to weeks of investigation from police, frustrations from the victims' families about the pace of the police work, and fear in the local community of a mass killer on the loose. Nearly 2 months later, Moscow police arrested Brian Kohlberger, a then 28-year-old man in Pennsylvania, on a murder warrant in the killings of the students. Kohlberger, a graduate student in criminal justice who lived in Pullman, Washington, is set to face trial in August. A not guilty plea has been entered on his behalf, and he faces the death penalty if convicted. Mortensen told law enforcement she went to sleep in her first floor bedroom and was awakened around 4 a.m. by what she thought sounded like Goncalves playing with her dog in one of the upstairs bedrooms on the third floor. Previously released documents have shown. Law enforcement also determined Cornolo received a DoorDash order at approximately 4 a.m. and was still up using TikTok at approximately 4:12 a.m. In the new court filing, phone records show Mortensen tried calling the other four roommates but got no response. Around the time when security camera from a residence close to the home picked up a 4:17 a.m. distorted audio of voices, a whimper followed by a loud thud and a barking dog. Morrison texts Gonclave's Kaylee and what's going on. Funk, the other surviving roommate, however, answered her messages while they were both in their bedrooms, according to the filing. Morrison and Funk sent the following text messages to one another around 4:22 a.m. Dylan to Bethany, no one is answering. Dylan to Bethany, I'm really confused right now. Bethany Bethany to Dylan, yeah, dude, what the F? Bethany to Dylan, Zaynab was wearing all black. Dylan to Bethany, I'm freaking out right now. Mortison then tells Funk about seeing what looked like a man with a ski mask in the house. Previously released court filings describe Mortison's grand jury testimony, recalling noises she heard and a masked man wearing black in the residence. Mortison then said to Funk, no, it's like a ski mask almost. Bethany tells Dylan, shut the F up. Dylan tells Bethany, like he has something over his forehead and little mouth. Dylan to Bethany, I'm not kidding. I am so freaked out. Bethany to Dylan, so am I. Then Funk tried to convince Mortison to go to Funk's room so they'd be together. Run. Prosecutors have indicated they expect both surviving roommates to testify at trial and want to use their text messages to illustrate the timeline of the night. Defense attorney Ann Taylor has pointed to what she described as inconsistencies during their multiple interviews with law enforcement before calling 911. Another newly unsealed court filing shows Morrison tried again to reach Gonclaves and Mogan starting at 10:23 a.m. So fast forward about 6 hours. She's calling them, asking them if they are awake. Are you up? 6 hours later? So why does it take another hour and a half to call 911? Doesn't make sense. A transcript of the surviving roommate's 911 call made more than an hour after that was also released with the filing Thursday. The transcript shows the chaos as Morrison and Funk passed the phone between them, answering the dispatcher in fragmented responses. The following describes heaving like breathing and crying throughout the call. This transcript does not identify the speakers by name, but shows another unnamed friend with them also spoke to the dispatcher. On the call, they reported 20-year-old Conrado unconscious, telling the dispatcher she had come home drunk the night before. The roommates struggled to tell the dispatcher their address and phone number, then saying Conrado is unresponsive and they saw some man in their house last night. The transcript reveals the student's unfinished thoughts and panic over finding Cornelio's unconscious body. It appears the dispatcher ends the call when first responders arrive on scene without getting a full account of the night or the current situation, the filing shows. The judge in Latah County, who previously presided over the case, had ruled the messages in 911 transcript were permissible evidence before the case was moved to Ada County, but the order and associated filings were sealed at the time. A recently unsealed defense motion in Kohlberger's capital murder case offers the most detailed picture of the suspect's personality to emerge since his arrest, citing an evaluation by a neuropsychologist who found Kohlberger continues to exhibit all the core diagnostic features of ASD currently, with significant impact on his daily life. It's unclear if or when Kohlberger was previously diagnosed with autism spectrum disorder. And I just did a whole video on ASD. Please check it out. The newly unsealed filing is the latest in a flurry of defense motions aimed at taking the death penalty off the table for the only suspect in the fatal stabbings that horrified the small college community. The lurid case has riveted the public, but police have not released a potential motive, and a sweeping gag order has kept the parties from speaking publicly or revealing further details. The prosecution's most important piece of evidence is a DNA sample taken from, one moment please. My apologies. The newly unsealed filing is the latest in a flurry of defense motions aimed at taking the death penalty off the table for the only suspect in the fatal stabbings that horrified the small college community. The lurid case has riveted the public, but police have not released a potential motive, and a sweeping gag order has kept the parties from speaking publicly or revealing further details. The prosecution's most important piece of evidence is a DNA sample taken from a knife sheath left at the crime scene. Investigators then used investigative genetic genealogy, a forensic field combining DNA analysis with genealogical research, to connect that sample to Kohlberger's family, according to prosecutors. Subsequent DNA testing found Kohlberger was a statistical match to the sample, leading to his arrest, according to prosecutors. Kohlberger's attorneys have argued in a defense motion released Thursday that the death penalty should be taken off the table because they cannot possibly review the enormous amount of discovery in time for the August trial. They say removing the death penalty would cut down the needed discovery considerably. Trash recovered from Kohlberger family residence by Pennsylvania law enforcement and sent to the Idaho State Lab for DNA testing was used to help investigators narrow down Kohlberger as the suspect in the killings, according to court documents released in January of 2023. To combat that evidence, his defense team has repeatedly questioned the use, legality, and accuracy of the DNA testing done in each step of the process. In a closed hearing last month, testimony from several witnesses raised questions about how investigators had used the DNA sample from the knife sheath to identify Kohlberger as the suspect. Okay, so I'm going to take down um, the students and I just want to have a conversation. Just need a few minutes to have a conversation. Okay, everybody. In the past, I did videos about the 911 call and what you would see on a 911 call, how a 911 call is treated, what questions will be asked, um, and all of that. And I did that so we would have the knowledge of what should be on a 911 call. In this case, dealing with the Idaho Four. We have the 911 call. Now, at least we have an excerpt of it. I don't think we have the full 911 call. I think this is what was allowed to be released because we don't have the dispatcher that took the 911 call on the phone leading up to the police arriving. They usually want to keep you on the phone until police arrive so they can find out what's going on, what's happening, what are the needs, things like that. So please check out that video, what should have been on the 911 call, because this will help you to understand why my thoughts are where they are. Um, it's really, really sad. Um, I think I'm going to play the 911 call at the end of this because I really want to get my thoughts out, and I don't want to so much focus on the 911 call while I'm getting my thoughts out about the 911 call. So um, I noticed in the 911 call, when the call was made, it seemed to me that there was a lot of hesitation to make that 911 call. Now, I don't know if there's a policy on campus with the fraternities and sororities, even off campus, because they're technically off campus. But if there's some policy, you don't call 911, you don't call the police, you don't ask for help. Everything we want to do with the fraternities and sororities, we want to keep in house, want to keep things where we can manage them. This is something you can't manage. You can't keep this. You can't fix this. You can't correct this. You can't alter this. Um, these students are deceased. There have been hours, hours where they have been been deceased. Because I really want to watch my tone and the words that I'm using. At what point, or was there ever a time when the two alive roommates said, I'm going to physically get up, leave my room or leave the room, whatever rooms they were in, and check on my roommates? I'm going to check on Zaina. I'm going to check on Kaylee. I'm going to check on Maddie. And if Ethan was there still, you would find Ethan. If the murders allegedly happened around this 4 o'clock, whatever time, 2 o'clock, 3 o'clock, 4 o'clock, and you didn't call police when you said you were scared, you were in fear, what the F, you telling the other roommate, run to my room. You never thought to call 911. You were concerned enough to text your fellow roommates, to text Kaylee, Maddie, Zane, or whatever, but you didn't think when none of them responded. After hearing this banging, this commotion, this fighting, this screaming, the crying, seeing someone walk past you, you never thought to call 911. You were in so much fear, you text each other, you express this, but you never thought, let's call 911. And the roommate on the first floor, why didn't you just climb out the window? Why didn't you just walk out the front door? Why didn't you run next door? Why didn't you run to the benefit? The police are there every week. Was there any moment where you tried to look? You didn't hear them. You didn't hear any more movements. From 4 on, from whatever this attack time happened, 2 o'clock, 3 o'clock, 4 o'clock, whatever that time is, you didn't hear any more movement for hours. They're not responding to messages. You never thought to get up and look, to come out of the room, to look, especially the roommate on the second floor, because you should have been able to see Zaina's body. You didn't think if there was something bad happening when you heard those screams, the bangs, the thumps, they might need help. Now, when we have the 911 call and the call is made, it appears that someone is in the background saying, don't call, don't call. You found these bodies, you found at least Zaina, and you still have someone saying, don't call 911. You have this hesitation. You have the passing of the phone. Nobody's really answering the questions. Nobody's giving details. You have the passing on the phone from one person to another. No one wants to talk to the 911 dispatcher, to the point where the dispatcher is saying, stop passing the phone. I need to talk to someone, one person that can provide me with the details, answer my questions. What do you need? I never heard one person ask for an ambulance. If you're waking up, if you're finding your roommates deceased, or you found Zaina deceased, did that make you not wonder? Well, what about the third? Or what about Kaylee? What about Maddie? Are they up there? Are they okay? Because they're not responding. Also, you know they haven't responded because they didn't respond when you text them in this 4 o'clock time frame, and they're not responding again when you're texting them in this 10 o'clock time frame. You're asking them, "Are you up?" No response, and still another hour and a half passes, and you don't call 911. When when you on the 911 call and the phone is being passed, from all of the people that the phone was passed to, maybe four, no one says that there is blood everywhere. No one says that there is a stabbing. No one outright says any of this. What did the scene look like at that moment? Was there blood everywhere? Were they stabbed or were these overdoses? Why isn't what the public is told the scene looked like? Why is that not being conveyed to the 911 operator or dispatcher? That's a big piece missing in them conversations from multiple people with that phone passing. Nobody says there's blood. Nobody says there's an injury. You're saying that she's passed out from drinking from the prior night. You don't say anything about what appears to be a stabbing. You don't say anything about blood, and blood would have been everywhere. And it just appears that either you're lying or this was not a stabbing, this was an overdose, and there was not blood. And maybe that explains why there was no blood when the house was torn down. They say that there was a cleaning company that came and cleaned the house. None of this makes sense. None of it makes sense. I would like to know when the people were caught over, and we don't know who those people are right now. They say it could have been Hunter and some other people. Did these people take pictures? Did they take any video of the scene? Because I would like to know, does the initial scene at the time of the 911, was Zaina stabbed to death? Was there blood everywhere or was there not? Because no blood, no mention of a stabbing. The only thing that's said in this call is that Zaina was drunk from the prior night when she got home. It's no mention of a stabbing. It's no mention of blood. And that is totally different from what the public has been told, that this was a gruesome scene, that this was multiple stabbings, that Zaina had defense wounds. Was Zaina's fingers cut off? Was she stabbed in her upper body, in her face, in her head, in her chest? Because if you listen to that 911 call, there's no sense of urgency. They're not even asking for an ambulance. They're conveying it as she's unconscious. They're not saying she's stabbed, that there is blood everywhere. They're not saying anything that you would think would be said on the call. And that is my problem. That's my issue. And this is just another example, unfortunately, of why everything seems staged. The call seems staged, doesn't give any details, doesn't answer any questions, doesn't identify what we're told the scene looks like. You know, Will we ever know the truth? Will the families know the truth? Will Ethan's family know the truth? Will Maddie's family know the truth? Will Zayna's family know the truth? Will Kaylee's family know the truth of what happened the night of November 12th, 2022, going into the morning of November 13th, 2022? What happened at 1122 King Road? What happened in that community during the hours after 1 a.m., between 1 a.m. and 5 a.m.? What happened at the property in this area and who all was involved? Let's listen to the 911 call. I'm going to share my screen now. Let me pull up the 911 call. One moment. I need you on this one, you guys. I need you to tell me your thoughts. I want to know what you think. I want to know what you do. I want to know, do you believe that this is what happened? We don't know. Unfortunately, we don't know. And I'm wondering, are we ever going to know the truth? Are we ever going to know? Okay, so this video is titled Frantic 911 Call from Idaho College Quadruple Murder Case Release. She's not waking up. It's 1 minute 48 seconds. It's provided by 6 ABC Philadelphia. Okay, so let's just brace ourselves. And I want you to think about this. Why did they pass the phone during the 911 call? Why was everybody hesitant to speak to the dispatcher? Why didn't they ask for an ambulance? Why didn't they mention that there was blood everywhere? Why didn't they mention that it looked like Zayna in particular was stabbed to death? Why didn't they just outright say she was not alive? And I'm wondering, to help understand you, did any of these people that was on the scene at this time during the 911 call, did they take any pictures of the scene? Did they take any video? Did they think that this was odd, or was everybody in on it? Why didn't they check for the other roommates? And what is the difference between the text messages at 10:23 and the 911 call at 11:58? That's an hour and a half. What did they do for this hour and a half plus? Okay, let's listen to the call.
911 location of your emergency. Something is happening. Something happened in our house. We don't know what. What is the address of the emergency? 1122. One of the roommates is passed out, and she was drunk last night, and she's not waking up. Okay. Oh, and they saw some man in their house last night. Yeah. Can I just tell you what happened pretty much? What is going on currently? Is someone passed out right now? I don't really know, but pretty much at 4 a.m. Okay, I need to know what's going on right now if someone is passed out. Can you find that out? Yeah, I'll come. Come on, we gotta go check. But we have to. Is he passed out? waking up.
That was the call, everybody. Nobody asked for an ambulance. Nobody said that they saw blood everywhere. Nobody said it was a stabbing. They keep saying she was passed out. How can this be described as being passed out if you're stabbed multiple times? You stabbed to death. It doesn't make sense. Please tell me what you think. Please let me know your opinion. Are you thinking like me that the people that came over, do you think they took pictures or video? They all seemed hesitant to answer the questions. They never asked for an ambulance. They didn't mention Kaylee and Maddie. But they were texting Kaylee and Maddie. They knew that Kaylee and Maddie weren't responding. They were upstairs on the third floor. Let me know what you think. It just creates more questions, more concerns. Even a child knows, a small young child knows to call 911. It just didn't happen. We have a lapse in hours and hours, and allegedly there were people at the house as early as 8 a.m. Their neighbors saw people already there at 8 a.m. talking in the backyard. So things are adding up. I don't know if we will ever know the truth, but I know this information is being put out. It doesn't add up. Excuse me. I want to know your thoughts, your opinions. Please put your thoughts in the comments. I will go back over this video and look for your comments. I want to know what you think. Thank you for spending this time with me. I really appreciate it. Please remember, stay smart, stay safe, stay savvy. Be well, all my friends. Have a beautiful afternoon. Bye, everybody.